Welcome back to the channel, guys. So I have a video I want to react to, and this is from Tian. He has a PhD. He helps guys from all over the world, not just the US. He's primarily based in Asia, actually. So he helps a lot of guys. Like, he's like a dating coach. I'll put it that way. He's a dating coach. Helps them deal with internal trauma from their past, from their youth, especially even from when they were kids, so that and then kind of get rid of all those shells, so they can have better success in dating and just with women in general. So this is a video I'm going to get into, and it's just for, let's see, how not to be intimidated by people you want to impress. And I think that's a pretty good one. So before I get into it, again, if you like the content, is like, subscribe. Let's just grow this thing and let's get going. So let's start the video.
So this is how to not be intimidated by people you're trying to impress. So I get asked this question a lot, especially by dudes who are intimidated by authority figures. And that's the way I used to be. I was a good like Asian kid that way. And I overly respected authorities. And that happened in school. And one of the things that I started getting away with was pretending like I knew more than I actually knew. And that can only take you so far. So I got to grad school, and just before I got into grad school, actually my senior undergrad.
And actually what he just said right there was pretty important. A lot of guys tend to pretend they know more than they do, just so it's more of a fake it till you make it type of thing. I'm gonna pretend that I know more than I actually do, so that you don't see that I'm actually a dumbass, you know? And it works for some people, but the problem is with things like that, you cannot continue in it for long. You know, you cannot get away with it. Eventually, you're gonna slip up. But regarding what he says in terms of intimidation, I do think there's no problem to be intimidated by people. For example, let's say I'm in a room with like Bill Gates, Elon Musk, and Bezos. Bro, I am going to be intimidated AF. Like, that's not even going to be a problem. Like, I don't have to try. Why? Because that intimidation is your brain telling you that, okay, there's a status difference here. There's a big status difference. And I do think it's important to know that there's a status difference, but it's also as important not to let that intimidation affect how you present yourself with these guys. All right, let's continue the video. Let's see.
Graduate period. I was in this classical reading class, and it was a classical Chinese reading, and I hadn't prepared for these classes as well as I should have. And I was wondering, does the professor know? Can he tell that I'm sort of just making stuff up along the way? Or sometimes I had the English translation on my lap while we went around the table, and I'm pretending like I'm not looking, and I'm actually translating on the spot, but I'm not, because I got the English translation on my lap. And I was living in a graduate student dorm at the time as an undergrad, so I was lucky. And I remember asking a senior PhD student whether he thinks the professor could tell, and he said to me, "David, look, this professor, he's been doing this for 40 years as a professor, and you're starting out as a senior undergraduate. So you may think that you're getting away with hiding stuff, but he knows a lot better. So his 40 years versus your, one little year or whatever it is of classical Chinese." And he said to me, "It's sort of like this, David. You're like an ant in the palm of his hand, and you're squirming around and you're hiding, and you think that you're hiding, and you think he can't see, but he sees everything. Now, whether he points it out to you, is a different question. It might be because he's trying to protect your ego or whatever it is. But he sees. Don't think you can get away with it." And I was like, oh my God, you're right, he can see. So I went into the classroom with a new attitude, to all the classes, because I was doing that to a certain degree in all of my classes, pretending like I knew more. I was putting up a front because I wanted to impress them, and I wanted them to think that I was better than I really was. And I realized, okay, let's assume that my friend is right, that they see everything. Then I shouldn't pretend. So if I didn't know the answer, or if I didn't know the passage, I would just say, I really don't know. I'm struggling through this one, but here's what I think.
Guys, right there is a very important fact that if you can take away anything, because I do think that's a very important point he just made. A lot of people, their default reaction from being in the presence of somebody they're intimidated by is to flex. Honestly, it's to basically pick up a persona and then react and act based on that persona. But the problem is, if the person you're interacting with, that you're intimidated by, has way more experience than you do, you cannot fool him. You only think you're fooling him. And I'm guilty of this too. When I was a lot younger, I would always try to act like I was a VIP in places, because I always had this, overconfident, cavalier attitude. So when I go places, I try and act, even if I didn't really belong there, I try and act like I did, which is an advice a lot of people, I won't say a lot of people, some people give guys, that even if you feel you don't belong, act like you belong there. And this, you can get away with this depending on your environment, depending on the situation you're in. For some guys, they can't, obviously, because that takes practice. But the problem is, depending on the situation you're in, the people who are around you can be so much more experienced than you are that you only think that you're getting away with it, whereas they can easily see you. And this can also apply to job interviews, by the way, or things you think it's okay to half-ass. If you half-ass these things, all right, let's say in your exams in school, rather than reading, or say your assignments, you cheated, you copied your way throughout college, throughout high school, and you think that no one notices, and you think you got away with it, that you're so smart. No. The thing is, the teachers don't give a shit if you cheat. It doesn't hurt them. It's going to hurt you in the future. If you're around somebody with experience, say in a job interview, and they ask you a question, say you don't know if you don't know. Otherwise, you're going to be showing them that one, you don't even know that you don't know, which is even worse than just not knowing. So yeah, when you find yourself in a situation, just honesty is the best policy. If you don't know, say you know, say you don't know actually, so that this person in front of you can help you. Like, imagine being in the presence of, let's say, Elon Musk, and he wanted to see if you knew anything about, let's say, electric cars, which is, I assume, is a specialty. And you start talking some BS, acting like you know a lot about electric cars, and he just sees that, and he just lets you be. Maybe he just doesn't want to hurt your ego. You just missed out on a huge opportunity to learn from Elon Musk. Because if you had said you didn't know, he would have said, oh, okay, here's how things are. Here's how things work. But now, because of your ego, you've turned away a perfect opportunity to improve yourself. Let's get back to the video.
And pretty quickly, I found out that the professors respected that a lot more. And my friend was right. The senior PhD student was right. They were seeing everything, but they just didn't want to point it out. And I decided that that's a great attitude to take through life. That you should always assume that these people you're trying to impress can see through all of your pretending. And that's the way actually out of the catch-22, because it's a catch-22. If they're worthy of impressing, like if you want to impress them, you're going to be nervous around them because you want to impress them. And the catch-22, there's a solution to it, and it's that if they're actually worthy of you impressing them, then they should be good enough that they can see through your bullshit. And if that's the case, then the way out of it is to realize that and to be 100% honest and forthright and transparent. And I decided I would do that. I would live my life with 100% integrity as far as I could, and assume that the people that would be good in my life would see that, and that I wouldn't have to put up any fronts or any facades or masks or any pretending, that I could be 100% transparent with the people that I wanted to draw into my life. And that's worked out really well in my life. So the secret to impressing people that you're that you're intimidated by is to not try to impress them, but to be 100% honest and assume that they can already see through all your attempts to impress them, and to just be as much as you can yourself.
And I think I might just stop this here. I think it has like about 30 seconds left, but I think the main message has been conveyed. Yep. And I'm just going to give a little bit of my final thoughts, and exactly what he said. If there are people in your life that you feel intimidated by, like I said earlier, it's your brain telling you there's a status difference. Whether it's in terms of knowledge, say wealth, experience, skills, whatever it is, that is your brain telling you that, okay, this guy next to me knows something that I don't. And your best bet, in order to actually fit in that crowd, so they don't think you're, I guess, a jackass, for lack of a better word, is to be 100% honest with yourself and with them. Because you don't want to lose an opportunity to learn from these people. Alright? I'm going to keep it at that. I think it's a good video. I'm going to link the main video in the description. This is David Tian. Really, really good life coach. I wouldn't even call him a dating coach. Like, I've seen a lot of his content, and I think he's more of a life coach than a dating coach. So I do recommend to check out his content at some point. Again, description, link to this video will be in the description. So check it out. Catch you guys later.